Hi friends, it's Christy. I wanted to share some information that I've been gathering regarding a forbearance of mortgage payments. I know you're hearing a lot about that in the news headlines, and so I wanted to be a good steward of this information and, as an industry professional, share with you what I am gathering. So I know that there's going to be a lot of questions about this, and right now I just wanted to share with you we're a little early in the game. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac only released this information about a week ago, and unfortunately, they're not sharing the fine details or the small print that we really need to know about. So, a couple of things. Not all mortgages are federally backed, okay? Not every loan is owned by Fannie or Freddie Mac as an investor. So if your loan is not, there's really no guarantee that it kind of falls in this bucket. So what you'll have to do is call your loan servicer. There's probably a lot of people calling your loan servicer right now, so you're likely going to have very, very long wait times, and then you can apply with them for forbearance. It starts off typically at 90 days with the ability to renew for another 90 days, so a total of 180 days. At the end of that 6 months, if you're still in that same hardship, there's a likelihood that they might renew it for up to another 180 days, which brings us to our full 12 months. But there's some things that I need to make sure I do a good job explaining and sharing with you. And please share this information with other people because I think there's a really big misunderstanding. Forbearance does not mean forgiveness. Okay, so it doesn't mean that those payment responsibilities just disappear. A forbearance is a pause on an obligation. So I'll share with you how I knew it to be. We had hurricanes that came through the state of Florida over, the last couple of decades. And when a major hurricane comes through, we are now put in a federal disaster zone. So then, if you're not earning income, you have the ability to postpone your payments through a forbearance. Here's how the loan servicers have done it in the past. If it was under the forbearance program for 90 days, then at the end of the 90 days, 4 months of mortgage payments are due all at one time. So that could put a lot of people in a really tough situation if that's the way it's going to unfold here. Otherwise, you'd have to make a repayment agreement with your loan servicer or even talk to them about a loan modification. And a loan modification comes with its own set of implications. So not going to get into it on this video, but perhaps in another one. What is different from forbearance is deferment. So deferment means delaying that payment obligation to a further point down the road. So let's say you had your payments delayed for a year, that 30-year mortgage would essentially become repaid over 31 years since you weren't making that 1 year of payment. But I'm not hearing deferment. I'm hearing forbearance. So those are two very different things, and I'm interested in seeing how this will unfold. I'm anxiously awaiting Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to put some additional information out there. Their website just has some of the basics that if you qualify for a hardship, then contact your loan servicer, ask for that forbearance agreement. And they've also said that they're going to suspend any foreclosure proceedings for at least the next 60 days. So let's talk about a couple of other things. Who's going to pay for your insurance and your property taxes when those come due every year? If you're not making the mortgage payment due to the forbearance agreement, you're not funding that escrow account every month that goes towards paying your homeowner's insurance and your taxes when those come due. So that was a thought of mine. Another thought I had last week was if we're now in a recession, there's going to be some people, say they lost their job, that may be forced to sell their home so that they can live off of the equity proceeds from the sale of that home, get them through this really tough time. So I thought, wow, we might have like this huge influx of properties that go on the marketplace for buyers to choose from, which is great because here in our market, it's really been a seller's market for quite a long time. There's not as many homes to choose from in inventory options as there are buyers. But here's the flip side to that. And it just hit me the other day in a conversation. I was like, wow, I didn't even consider this. If millions of households have a forbearance agreement for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and they're not having to make mortgage payments, what's the push to sell? You don't have to have a housing payment because if you sell, you're going to have to go someplace else and likely pay a housing payment, rent, right, to a property manager. So there wouldn't be that push to sell. So we might wind up with a lack of inventory still. The other thing I wanted to say is if millions of households wind up in a forbearance situation, it could literally cripple our financial industry. And that really scares me, that I don't know who's going to be making those payments to keep our world ticking, taxes paid, insurance funded, those kinds of things for the homes that we own. And then the last thought that I had on this was on mortgage-backed securities. If everybody winds up in a forbearance situation, not paying mortgage payments, the investors or the owners of that mortgage loan, they're not earning the interest that they would be collecting otherwise on that monthly payment. So now mortgage-backed securities are not really sought after by investors. I wonder what that will do to interest rates. And then the federal government will have to keep those artificially low. They might be continuing to buy mortgage-backed securities like they're doing right now by the billions, which has its own set of problems. Again, I won't get into that right now. But I just wanted to share with you, if you are considering a forbearance request, call your loan servicer. My fear right now is that people are going to hear the headlines that they could potentially not have to make a mortgage payment for 90 days, 6 months, 12 months, and just presume that they fall underneath that blanket of grace. If you don't make an arrangement with your loan servicer, your mortgage payments will be reported as late, and it could be detrimental to your credit score, your credit history. If you wind up a couple months late, it could exclude you from being able to qualify for a mortgage loan in the future. So there's a lot of really huge ramifications if you don't follow the steps. So the steps are, if you have been affected by COVID-19, you've lost your job, you're in furlough, you're not earning income right now, and you don't have the savings to be able to make your mortgage payment, call your loan servicer, be prepared to be on hold for potentially hours, and then ask them to allow you to be considered for the forbearance. There's no guarantee that they'll do that, but when you do come to terms with them, if you do come into an agreement for forbearance, please ask them what the small print is as far as details that are due when your payment is due. Is it going to be 4 months at the end of the 90 days? Are they going to be open to creating a repayment plan with you, where you can get caught up some other way? So make sure you ask those questions, because otherwise I think we could wind up in a world of hurt in 90 days, 6 months, 12 months from right now that we weren't really anticipating, because we didn't know what kinds of questions to ask, what to be prepared for in the future, and we just didn't really pay attention to those potential future ramifications. So I hope this was helpful for you. Pass this along to somebody else that might be considering forbearance, just so they know of some of the red flags to be aware of and looking for, and make sure that they call their loan servicer and don't presume that they fall under some umbrella hedge of grace, that they just don't have to make their mortgage payment. Please, if you can make your mortgage payment, make this month's mortgage payment. We'll learn a lot more that comes out over the next few weeks as to how this whole thing is going to unfold when it comes to mortgage payments, forbearance, deferment, and how we move forward. But as of right now, it's a little early. We don't have the information. So just be in communication with your creditors. Have the conversation with them first. Don't presume anything. All right. See you later, guys. Hope you have a great day.